Ah. Ah.
Okay, Cameron.
Okay. Is he here?
Not yet.
Oh. Well, can we
Don't
go
wait.
ahead and get started?
Yeah, don't wait.
Yeah,
for
I
it.
think we should. He'll come.
He-
I do
he's,
too.
he's working on it. He's tech challenged. Like not
Okay.
like that
Uh,
old folks.
so I'm in my car. I'll be home in about 4 minutes. So Donna, if you want to start with the agenda, I'll take over as soon as I get home.
Well, did we get the report of the president?
You should have.
Yes.
Okay, I just unmuted myself.
Thank you, Donna.
We will call the meeting to order at 6:13, 7:13.
Eastern.
Eastern time. Thank you. Report
And Eastern Daylight.
Eastern Daylight Time. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. And roll call is Matt here? Matt's not here yet, correct?
He's coming.
Okay.
He said.
Okay. All right. Eventually. Okay. Report of the recording secretary. Paul?
Why don't we just do what we did the last time and just go through these reports like we read them, just rather than, do you want to do that? And just save
Okay.
some.
Yeah,
Does anybody have anything to add to their report
No.
No.
as written?
Could we accept the minutes? Before
Oh, yeah, we have to accept
Oh,
the
yeah,
minutes.
sorry
first.
about that.
Do the minutes first.
I totally overlooked that. See, that's why I'm not a very good president. Okay.
You're marvelous.
you are
Thank you.
you are the best.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll make a motion.
I second it. To accept the minutes.
Thank you, Karen.
Sure. Pam.
And
We have a
second.
motion. Do we have a second?
We do. Pam did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Matt, is that Matt?
It's a ghost.
Okay,
That was
minutes approved. Okay,
Matt's
Donna, go
on.
ahead.
Matt's
Okay.
on.
Okay. So if we're going to accept everyone's reports, we need a motion to accept the reports as presented.
I move that we accept the reports as submitted.
I'll second. Yeah. Okay, this is Sheila. You guys would have received at the very last minute a profit and loss statement. Both Kevin and I, as our separate treasurer positions, ran into glitches balancing to the checkbook, but I don't know how Kevin did, but I found my error. So I did send you all an updated profit and loss statement there at the last minute.
I got it.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Yes, I got it.
I got it, didn't read it. Oops.
I read it.
I didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's correct.
Yep,
Looked
it's
okay.
correct. The only thing we have left that will go into show expenses is to reimburse it'll show up as an expense, reimburse the income from the auction rescue items. Those will definitely have to come out yet, and Donna and I need to get together so that I'm comfortable that I'm sending her the right check, but other than that, it's up to date and balanced and everything looks correct. Not happy with it, but it looks correct.
Well, could be worse.
I
do not-
suppose.
Yeah. I don't
Matt's
know
up.
if this I'm sorry, Pam, go ahead.
Matt is on.
Yay, Matt.
Who were
So for,
the people who moved and seconded to accept the reports?
I moved. Pam moved and Joe, I think, seconded.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if there's no
Sheila,
discussion, they
do you-
can be accepted. They can be accepted just as it goes without voting.
Okay.
yeah, Sheila, on your report, since I can't see it, I'm in the car. Can you just shoot the bottom line figures real quick? Just tell us what it is.
For year to date, as far as the club income and expenses, we're in the hole 723.37. For the show, we are in the black 637.50, or is that an 80? I gotta expand this a
80.
little. 80. And then there's nothing yet for supported, but that leaves us a deficit year to date of 85.57.
Okay.
Sheila, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say, okay, we have a deficit in current spending for this year, and then you said we have, what did we have that's covering that? Is that from last year's specialty or this year's specialty?
This year's specialty.
Okay,
And anything that carried over from October, but not likely, I don't recall that any show expenses or any show income came in from October 1 on. So basically, you're looking at this year for show.
so what's causing the deficit from the, oh, so last year's show is causing the deficit?
This
But
year's show.
This
This
year's
year's This year's show is carrying us, but we did have a couple of expenses that I did not put into this year's show because it wasn't fair. That was the cost of the tablecloths and some of the extraneous stuff that we bought to do that. So once you get it and take a look at it, you'll see your advertising expenses are up quite a bit, but a lot of that was the tablecloths that we did. So basically, without that expenditure, we would probably have been in the black.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so we've had expenses for the 2024 specialty. Are they shown as 2024?
They are shown as 2024 when you do a separate breakout as to specialty alone, specialty income, specialty expenses. And I can run you all a separate report on that if you want. But as far as a profit and loss statement goes, they're included.
Okay, it's all wrapped together. Okay,
It is wrapped together, but it can be separated by the way it was memoed.
I would appreciate that, me personally.
Sure, no
Yeah.
problem.
That would
I'm
be
a number guy.
idea, Donna.
Pardon me?
Donna, this is Pam. I think that would be a good idea to separate
Yes.
23 and 24.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can send you all separate reports. I cannot
Thank you.
separate them in a profit and loss because that's a general overall view
Gotcha.
of your club's
I
finances.
understand. I
Understood.
appreciate
Okay,
it.
good. I'll make a note to send that to y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here for the bylaws, but question, just seeing that, was there any income from investments from the savings account?
The saving, yes. Yes. They're minimal, but they're $4 and they are averaging about $4.63 a month.
Hey, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know, but they are in there. Yeah,
That's an opportunity, okay.
yeah.
Buy a T-bill, yeah. All right.
Well, we could look into that. The other thought is because we're doing a supported at Palm Springs, two
Oh,
of them, I believe, Pam, right? And then we're turning around and doing a concurrent, a supported and an independent at Atlanta. Or Perry, it's going to be a little tricky to come up with, what our bottom line needs to be. So a treasury bill or something along those lines, we're going to have to be a little conservative in the maybe 25,000 range instead of higher.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, I was just, I didn't know
Yeah.
that there
But
was.
it's an option. yeah.
To think about. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm taking a note here. Okay, thank you. All right, okay. Cameron, do you want us to wait till you get home? Because the next on the agenda is the bylaw committee, or do you want to talk through it?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm actually trying to connect right now.
You're at
So,
home.
go ahead and start.
Okay,
So
I will
just
turn it
got here.
over. We're going to turn it over to the bylaw committee.
Yeah, and I have that in front of me. So go ahead, committee.
So I'm going to try and stop sharing the screen because I'd like to share a different screen. I can't remember how to stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you.
Bluetooth tethering.
Find the, there we go. This is gonna look like gobbledygook probably. Stop that one. Bylaws.
Oh, Galaxy. Here we go.
All right, so Doug, Paul, and I have been working on reviewing the bylaws. And according to AKC, we have to go through a process, a very prescriptive process, where we need to send them after the board has approved our recommendations. We will send them a clean copy of our current bylaws along with a markup version of the proposed bylaws revisions. And once we get a pre-approval from them, then, which will take about 4 weeks, then we can ballot our membership to approve or vote on rather the proposed revisions that we have made. The process, if we can do this tonight and approve this to go to AKC for a pre-approval from them and make sure it complies with their requirements. So let me just make sure I'm making sense. We are looking about 4 weeks from now to get an approval from AKC. So that will put us to about October. We're not in any hurry to ballot the membership per se. We really like to, I think that we would like to make sure that we have a current membership roster, everybody's paid their dues. So I would be looking at about January to start balloting. We have to mail our ballots under the current bylaws. So
USPA mail, not email.
Yes, US postal mail. Doing the double ballot method that is outlined in our bylaws right now. Once the vote is completed, certified by our teller, we go back to AKC with the result, then we get final approval and we can implement the bylaws. So we'd be looking at about October or no later than October, so that the new board that comes in 2024, October 1st, 2024 to be specific, will be operating under our presumed to be new bylaws, which will include the changes that Doug, Paul, and myself have made. So not to get too deep in the weeds, one of the first changes that we made was to revise the junior membership from the ages of 10 through 17 to 9 through 17. The reason for doing that is to make it current with the junior showmanship rules. The ages of eligibility are 9 through 17, or 9 through 17 years and 11 months and 30 days. We did make an amendment to the dues section. Dues shall be payable by October 1st, and we did make a clarifying statement there that dues will lapse for those members who have not paid their dues received by December 31st. Before I scroll on, are there any questions yet? Okay. We did just add a few clarifying statements about the board, and this is in election to membership. So to vote a member in, we want to make sure that this is not a statement that the endorsement of the board as a whole, but the members of the board who are in attendance at a meeting. And then also the members of it that are in attendance at a meeting are those that are required for an affirmation of a vote that meets 2/3 of the requirement of the board. So if someone's absent, that doesn't weigh in that vote. And then you'll see on the side here also, we've got some extraneous commas deleted, some other commas inserted, and some formatting corrections. One of the big changes is the date of the national specialty. This is one of the ones that we've discussed before that was needed. We took that out.
You mean the annual meeting?
Say again, Joe?
You mean the annual meeting? You
Yeah.
said the-
Yes, so it was what was bogging us down with only being able to have the national specialty between certain dates of the year, largely between spring and fall.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we
Yeah,
changed-
Kevin,
Go ahead.
Kevin, if I may, just to help level set. We separated the date of the annual meeting and the date of the national specialty. They are not, they may be together or they may be separate.
Okay,
That is up to the scheduling and what makes sense. So yeah, you don't talk about the annual meeting thinking you're talking about the date of the national specialty, and don't talk about the national specialty thinking you're talking about the date of the annual meeting. They're no longer synonymous. They would no longer be synonymous. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have to jump that hurdle anymore.
Yeah.
We also included in here that it will be posted at least 6 months in advance, with the date being published in the club newsletter. We also included throughout this document now that meetings can be virtual. We made allowances for technology so that we're not using terms that can be made obsolete, like email, video conferencing, things of that nature. So that this document will now allow developments in technology that maybe we don't know about today. Things that can change. Like this document used to include words like fax, email, and we
Yeah.
try to eliminate things like that that can become obsolete and may need to be removed later on. We added the word recording secretary because there was no definition of what kind of secretary needed to be included here under special club meetings. It was just a minor change on that part. We added a threshold for what a quorum is for a board meeting, so it's 51% of the existing board members. Before I go on, are there any questions yet so far? Okay.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. When you send this into the AKC, and I think in here you have something about, if I recall reading it, and I like what you guys put together. I think I recall reading something that meetings can be held via current technology or in person or whatever. The AKC may, I was told today, may require us to have an in-person meeting. However, their suggestion was to send it in as you have it written via meeting, live meeting or technology, because they may just go ahead and approve it. That's not what they've been doing apparently.
Yeah, you actually just touched on where we're about to go, which is the means of conducting business. One of the things that we amended here was where we talked about, we were going to insert via video conference, but we took out the terms that can become obsolete or may have to be amended later on. So we added the board of directors may hold meetings using available resources and technology. Business voting can be conducted at meetings or through use of available technology. This is trying to get into that electronic voting. Provided that every member has access to the means of participation and that ad nauseum. This is existing language. Oops. I did make a minor spelling correction here. I'm changing insure to ensure. But it's not a vehicle. The club may send members notifications of club meetings, etc., using appropriate means when necessary. So that's a nod to mail, postal mail, or email, or maybe we'll have smoke signals. We don't know.
Drums.
Yes. We did have a question about what the parliamentary authority was. And so we just inserted a clarifying statement that this was Robert's rules.
I have a question, Kevin. This is Donna.
Yeah.
Going back to what Cameron said about he had heard about AKC, about annual meetings, and I would assume board meetings, and that, do we throw in there or like in person or personal, or however you want to say it, or through available resources or technology resources or something, so there's a choice?
So this,
Because he was saying that, because he was, if I heard him correctly, he is saying that the AKC is kind of pushing or wants you to have an option to have an in-person gathering annual meeting. Correct, Cameron?
yeah,
Did we put that in there?
Not necessarily at the annual meetings specifically, but yes, that's correct, that they may be requiring that. However, I was advised to go ahead and send it in with the verbiage of technology.
Okay.
And if by chance they approve it, then we're good.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
you're acting on hearsay evidence at this point.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
So let's stick with what, yeah.
Okay.
to address
Okay.
that concern, though, the annual meeting, which is Articles 2, Section 1, it does say that the annual meeting may be conducted with members present.
Members present. Thank you. Very
or
good.
participating remotely.
Very good. Thank you.
Which is new for us because we haven't had the participating remotely part before.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
We also added a section here to clarify the role of the immediate past, not the role necessarily, but the, Doug, help me out here,
So the immediate past president is on the board as a non-voting member by virtue of being the immediate past president, and that's talked about in board members further up in the document. But in terms of the board role and function and who can serve, we wanted to clarify explicitly that the immediate past president could still stand for office as in an elected position, and if they are elected to serve in a position other than president, which they're assuming they're not eligible for at this point because they're the past president, then they would have whatever their voting rights are that go along with the virtue of the elected position they're now taking in, right? And they're just that. We had some contention about that probably 9-10 years ago. So it's old history, but it was painful at the time, and so thought it was worth calling it out specifically so that we don't have to find ourselves trying to go over past pain in history of meetings or referrals. So, yep.
It was an
good.
excellent clarification. Thank you,
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah, I don't think there's, Joe may have been on the board at the time, but I don't think any else was. Yeah.
All right, so voting, this is one of the other areas where we needed to address the matter of voting and how we vote. In the state of Connecticut, Paul did find the code, or the statute rather, in Connecticut where we are required to vote by mail for our officers. That's the only thing that we have to vote by mail for. Everything else, we can vote electronically. Somewhere in here, it is, we did cite the statute in the bylaws revision because we didn't have it before, but we did want to memorialize where it is so that when it comes up again, we know how to capture it. We also have to cite that law to AKC when they review our bylaw revision, because they want to know as well. So for this section here, which is under Article, just lost my place.
Section 2.
4. Article 4, Section 2 is voting. So it's limited to eligible members, just a few minor things here, and we added the state in which the club is incorporated in case in the future we do move to a different state and we're under a different law. Ballots shall be organized by a contracted service provider. This is going into the requirement to do ballots by mail. We did clarify, this was a convoluted section 4, sorry, in case you're lost. Section 4, this was a little bit convoluted and had some repetitive language in the current state. So we did clarify the role of the chairperson for the nominating committee and also the board's role in appointing the chairperson, and that the chairperson shall select their 2 additional members to serve on the nominating committee, just to keep the board out of the weeds. And then we went into some guiding language for what the nominating committee will do. Sorry about the highlights and the pop-ups. Any questions so far?
No,
Hey,
Not at all.
hey, Kevin, now that I'm reading this, I'm sorry, it's yet again. Does the committee bring the slate back to the board for approval? Or does it just proceed to send out the slate?
What's the past precedent, Sheila?
No, the committee brings it back to the board because we may not have to send a slate out. If
Well,
that's
you
true.
know,
Okay, so once once you have a slate and if there's
we
other,
approve it.
But you have to get additional non-members. So what
Well-
happens to that?
hang on. So
Okay, I'm jumping in.
let's just walk through this very carefully. I'm sorry. So the committee nominates a candidate for each of the open positions for the upcoming term. Okay, right. That's cool.
Right.
All right. So now we have a slate. The committee gives consideration for geography, et cetera, and then submits. Okay, so then then we go through the geography, then the committee shall then submit its slate of nominees to the recording secretary, who shall send the slate, including the full names of all to each member of the club on or before, so that additional nominations may be made. Okay.
So the board approved slate is implied in this section. but
Where,
not
yeah,
It's applied.
it's
It's
there
not
is
it's
no,
part of
I'm
the
sorry.
process.
I'm sorry, there is no board approved, there's no implication that the board is
No,
approving the slate.
But it needs to be
No.
inserted.
Yeah, there should be, shouldn't there?
The board
think
doesn't
there was
have to
actually.
approve the
I'm just
slate.
thinking
I
now.
think, yeah, I think it needs to be defined whether we are going to request that the board approve it or whether we just leave it that it's going to be sent out to the membership as the nominating committee decides. We are simply going on what Doug's sort of been digging into, and that's the practices that are not technically stated in the bylaws, and the practices are it's brought to the board and the board takes a look at it. Normally, in my experience, the board has just pretty much let it go. But that's not stated in the bylaws, which way we really want it to go.
Yeah, well, that's what, thank you, Sheila. That's exactly the point, is like, again, it just, for absolute clarity, do you want it to come back to the board for approval? Or do you just
Yes.
want to have that the recording secretary shall share it with the board for awareness? Right? Or, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah, I would assume the secretary would share it, but there again, what you're talking about here is how do you want this to appear to the membership who reads these bylaws? Is this a board directed club and they would have a say so as to whether they accept what that committee decided upon? By requiring that they take a look at it and approve it?
No,
The,
no.
the
says
board
Pam.
appointed the chair. So is the board going to review the chair's work? Or are they going to just accept the work of the chair without review?
No, we accept it, we approve it, and then it gets published in the newsletter as
Okay, so
give
let's-
people an
let's-
opportunity to,
Okay.
run if they want to run.
right, Paul, you just used a very good word.
Yes, you did.
Rather than approval, let's say acceptance.
Doug, this is Pam.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important that it is stated, as it is here, that the board accepts it. The word approval is inappropriate. That makes it sound like the board appoints the chairman. The chairman does the work with the members. They bring it back. And then the board says yay or nay. That's
Exactly.
not the way it should be done.
Right, that's exactly what I said. Thank you, Pat.
Yes,
Yes,
there should be no word approval. It should be accept.
that's just what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that done.
Good discussion. Okay.
Hey.
That was that's one of those things that's done in practice, but we don't have it documented, and this will be a good change if we can make
Right.
it.
Good clarity.
All right. I want to ask this question. I asked it of Paul on Sunday, but I want to ask you all as well. With the item number 2 here, this is a procedural matter. In the event of a petition coming from the floor to make additional nominations procedurally, does it have to be a paper copy petition? Does it need to come by mail, postal mail? Does it need to be pen and ink signed? Or is this something that's open to interpretation? Or is it a matter of law?
Oh, I see what you're saying by written petition, but define written. Is it email, by US Postal Service, whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nominating these 3 people or whatever, and here they are, and I've got 5 other members who have via email indicated their approval, and we put all that together and forward that over to Paul. Now, is that
A recording secretary.
or the recording secretary? Now, is that accepted or is that or not? Yeah, do we need to have,
But it has to be
signed it out,
there.
signed it, scanned it, and then attached a
Okay,
it's a scanned copy of.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, Doug,
yeah,
but what if we could say by, US postal mail or whatever mail or email or what electronically, as long as it's received on or before May 1st? Because what's important is on or May 1st, correct?
Well,
How it gets there.
Yeah.
It's more important that it gets there than the method of dictating how it has to get there.
right.
Yes, because
So-
in the past, we have gone on the traditional way of doing it, which was handwritten, hand signed, well, typed and hand signed if that be, and sent in and received by May 1st. But if we're going to start accepting everything else that we do electronically,
Yeah.
that should apply here as well, I
Exactly.
would presume.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
So
So
where
the
you
deadline's
say
important.
received by the secretary, received, yeah, just by the recording secretary on or before May 1st.
But I think we need to be specific on
Well,
how it can be.
we'll hang on.
Okay. I'm jumping,
Signed
sorry.
signed by members in good standing and accompanied by rather than written, that's just say by accompanied by acceptance of each additional nominee signifying willing to, okay. And then qualify all that by stating the evidence of this, the petition may, and accompanying documents, right, may be conveyed.
Where are you, Doug?
I'm right about, insert a sentence before the word accept, right there, yeah. So the petition and supporting documents, right, may be submitted via hard, we don't want to say hard copy, just say via
US postal mail.
via postal service or electronically. Yes. Okay. And I think that's sufficient to, we can get into the,
By May 1st, somewhere.
that's up above.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
That's
gotcha.
up above.
May be
Okay.
submitted via, okay, this is, okay, the petition supporting documents may be submitted via postal service or, well, electronically, or they could be FedEx, right? They could be,
Yes,
you could there
Sure.
could be other carriers, right? So, yeah, overnight or by courier or
Yeah.
or electronically. There you go. Yeah, and I think that,
Doug,
well, yeah, or hand delivered for that matter. Yeah, oh, yeah. If somebody
Doug?
wants to- yeah, yeah.
Doug, it's Pam. Could it say, by hard copy or electronically?
no, it needs, I think this is great.
Okay, because I know I was involved when we had some questions related to this.
Yeah,
What's a
And-
hard copy?
Okay, I would just like to say that going back to when we were talking about this on Sunday,
Yeah,
we did bring up the fact that doing things, this particular thing electronically may not be the best idea, only because sometimes people lose stuff that gets sent to them electronically. If that happened, we would be in a serious mess.
no,
Because people would have submitted a petition that no one knows about.
Well, okay.
And-
Yeah,
No, so Paul, in rational thought, okay? Yes, you're right. But the US Postal Service has been known to lose things or not get things necessarily
Yeah.
delivered timely as
and
well.
couriers
Yeah,
have
and
to,
couriers, they can all have, that occur all along.
that
the-
can
then-
happen.
Yes,
So-
but
so-
when,
so-
when
so-
you send something through
so
a courier
I-
or the US Postal
I'm sorry,
Service,
I mean,
you
Hey,
have something in
Excuse
your
One at,
me.
one at a
say
time.
that I
Hello?
sent this.
Hey, I have
Hey.
the floor.
One at a-
Please let me finish speaking before you interrupt me.
One at a time.
Yes, one at a time. Good Lord. The point being that what I was getting to, though, is that, okay, so the corresponding secretary or the recording secretary receives the documents. Okay, it's going to go to, well, the recording secretary, all right? The recording secretary is responsibility for custodianship of much of the documents of the business of this organization. So one would hope that, among other things, that their, PC is backed up on a, regular basis. Yeah, so I mean, but I think it's an important point, and I think that the procedures around how this should be handled probably need to be spelled out a little more, but not in the bylaws.
Amen,
Doug,
amen,
Okay, I
amen.
don't want to get into, the secretary shall print them out and put them in a safe and send copies to the other board members within X
Yeah.
number of days of having received, and yada, 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 right? I mean, yeah.
The nice thing about electronic copies is the sender is always going to have a copy still. And they can resend it if it is lost or deleted accidentally by the recipient.
Yeah.
And then with the paper copies, you have the sender, hopefully you kept a copy, but you may not have.
Well,
Alright.
Okay.
if you send a
Doug?
copy of something through the mail or through a carrier, you will get a piece of paper in your hand.
No, you don't.
Fr-
Not unless
No.
you ask, unless you send it certified, you don't.
Well, that I would hope that you would have the common sense to send a certain.
Well, you would hope that somebody would not, that,
I mean, if they're serious
Okay,
about
guys,
what they're
let's-
doing, that's what they should do.
Let's, I think we need to move on.
yeah. It's
Okay,
dead
well,
as written.
all I'm saying is that just be aware that when this comes up for voting, at the end of this, I will be voting no, changing these bylaws on this issue alone. Because I feel very strongly that we should not be accepting votes electronically because other clubs do not do that for the
Well-
very reasons I spoke about.
Cameron, this is Pam. I
Yeah.
would like to insert at this point that I respectfully disagree with Paul. I think in 2023-24, we should be able to accept electronic correspondence and voting. And that is my position. And I was one of the people involved when we had a discussion related to this before. I was not on the board then. I am on the board now, and I can tell you that we are a nationwide organization, and expecting us to correspond at this time and place only with written communication, hard copy for something like this does not sit well with Mrs. P. I'll just put it that way and leave it. I think if we're going to upgrade and update our bylaws, Paul has a position. Mine is the opposite of Paul's position. Done.
Okay, and I don't know that we're going to get everybody to agree on it, but majority rules, I do believe it's not.
Don't go there yet.
I don't know.
Well, it's in here, and we'll get to
I
it.
need to move along. Don't you agree, Doug? We need to move along.
Yeah, we need to move along. We can come back to this if it's a sticking point with Paul, which I understand, and his concerns, and I think
Can we take a census real quick so we know if we need to come back here? Does
I
anybody?
have a question.
Go ahead.
This is
that?
Karen. I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is just when these things are emailed or however, are they going to, they're going to the secretary,
Yes.
right?
Recording secretary.
Recording secretary. And then is there a committee that is with that, or is it one person who receives the ballots and counts them?
this is the nomination. This is if somebody wants to,
Oh, just the nomination. All right, okay, yeah,
If the committee has put out a slate,
yes,
that slate is mailed out, and a group or a person or other persons say, oh, well, I really wanted to be on the board, and they didn't, the nominating committee didn't select me.
Right.
But
All right.
I still should have a shot at running for it. Then they have,
Right.
this is
Right.
the procedure for them to get themselves set up as, yes, I think I should be the recording secretary rather than Kevin or whoever.
right. I understand it now. I got
Okay.
lost a little in the banter.
Right. So do I have to do that by snail mail and hard copy?
Right.
Or can I do it electronically, and which quite frankly, which is more efficient and all that kind of stuff. But it's a concern from the secretary's point of view of retention and that you may lose something, right? In
Right.
a thing, which
Yeah.
which is understandable. So I think that's a do we it will, so we may need to come back to this if Paul's still strong in his views, but that's let's move along at the point and see where we are once we get to
Doug,
yes.
Doug, I have one question. Would it assuage people's concerns if we were to add in there, the petition and supporting documents may be submitted via postal service or electronically to the recording secretary, who will immediately acknowledge their receipt?
See,
So in
that
other
was
words,
part of
there's-
my question too, Sheila, is that here we are talking about, this stuff has to be sent off and received before May 1st, but who's going to acknowledge the fact that you received it on June the 30th or May 1st or May 2nd, when it actually may have gotten there, a day earlier? How are you gonna justify that?
Okay, so come on, yeah, I mean, we're getting way down into nitty gritty detail here. The point, I don't know that it's the point here is that the delivery in the past was via U.S. mail to be received by the secretary on or before May 1st. We're now saying, or you may deliver that via electronic means or hand delivered or whatever, right? The means of delivery changes, but the requirement and the initial requirement hasn't changed. There was no requirement that the recording secretary acknowledge receipts to the sender in the past. Interestingly, I think I mean, if there is such a thing received, then and this gets into the details, is just simply yes, we're going to you're going to go and prepare the ballots, right? I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, and how much of that do you want to put in the bylaws?
So just to go back to the original language, if we leave the original language as it was, it can be left up to interpretation. It can be interpreted, just say we're all no longer here. It just says it's written. It says it's received by May 1st. And that's it. So it can be interpreted to mean it's mailed, it's emailed, what have you. is a written, it can be typewritten, it can be emailed or written in an email. How do you want it? So we're really just clarifying here with this line of edited material that it can be sent by postal service, courier, electronically, or hand delivered. That's all we're changing. We're just clarifying the means of submitting it.
Mhm.
Yes, and I think it needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that there is a follow-up and outside of the bylaws, but it's what is the procedure that the recording secretary is to follow if this should occur, right? Not, you know, and that's procedure. It's step by step, do this, do that by this date and all that. The main requirement out of this is that they receive it, and if they do, then you proceed to incorporate and prepare, and how it's prepared in the ballot that goes out to the membership for voting, and it's incorporated within that
Language.
under section 4 or step 4 here. Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we move on? Consternation.
No, I just agree with Sheila that we need something on when verification on when the information was actually received. There's nothing
What
in there
about certified
that says
mail?
that.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
no.
no,
That's
guys,
mail, but guys, I mean, okay, so if it's. So I said, if I were running and I sent an email, okay, I have the date at which it was sent. Right? I may be savvy enough to know how to set an email to give me a confirmation of when the receiver receives it and if they actually open it, right? But
Maybe.
that's
the
good.
recording
Leave it at that.
secretary will know when they received it, right?
Doug,
Yeah.
this is Pam again.
I like what you did.
The question that occurred in the past was the recording secretary's designated address. If that designated address is an actual location of their house or a specific email address. Now, the recording secretary is corresponded with by AKC and all kinds of things at the designated email address. Just like you may have two actual addresses. You live in, the north in the summer and the south in winter, you have two addresses. Well, why can't it be designated addresses? And at that point in time, that gets rid of the problem. I think that we're overthinking, we're overworking it.
Yeah. So again, I mean, first off, if you were going to send it in under the bylaws, it says to the secretary, if you look on the board of directors listing on the website and the newsletter, whatever else, it gives you the name and the address and the email address of the recording secretary. That's what
Correct.
That's what you would assume is correct and what you would follow, right? Because that's the published addresses of the contact for the secretary.
I would
So what
agree.
we're saying
Yeah.
then is designated addresses.
Designated where?
Well, that's the question.
Where is it public? Where as okay to the recording
Membership
secretary at addresses, physical and or mail and email as published in the newsletter or as listed in the roster or as listed on the website.
I think, Doug, if we make the change designated addresses, it can be either or.
Amen.
They're both eligible.
Okay.
And then do we need to have all this other stuff that we added here, or do we just make that one little change?
I'd just make the one little change, guys, but what do I know?
I'm game with making that one little change, and I think that the rest of it is open to interpretation.
Well, okay, scroll back up.
We're only talking about paragraph 2, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
A petition received and signed by the members in good standing and accompanied by the accepted. Okay, so how do they sign?
They could DocuSign, or they could send an email that says, I nominate blah, blah. See, but then you're gonna get into the nitty gritty. I mean, they send an email that says, I, Donna Wolf, nominate Susie Smith to be blah, blah. And then somebody else says, I, Bill Jones, nominate Sue, and they're all together. But shouldn't that be somewhere in an operating procedural thing of how to submit it? Not in your bylaws?
Correct, not in the
Not in the
bylaws.
bylaws, okay. good.
Right.
Okay, that's
We
fine.
are really overthinking this, guys, all because we're worried that a recording secretary might lose an email.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead and
Mhm.
let's just make it, what was our original? Where did we have,
Designated addresses.
designated, so delete, well, yeah, just make it plural.
Yeah,
Designated regular addresses. And at one of. Right. And received at one of, yeah, at one of their designated address, right? They don't need to do, I don't need to mail it and email it.
no,
Yeah, right.
That's right.
And hand deliver it, right?
So rather than address says, it's at a designated address.
That's fine.
At
Yeah.
one, actually, it should be one of there.
At one of their
At
designated
one of their
addresses.
yep,
All right, that's much
Okay.
more simple. It's not overthought.
Okay,
Paul,
moving on.
does this
Yeah.
compromise work for you?
No, but we can keep, we
No.
can move ahead.
Okay. All right, so paragraph 4 is where you'll find the citation of the Connecticut law. It requires us to vote for officers by mail-in ballot.
Right.
And then Article 5, what's notable here is that we deleted the word standing. This article would no longer refer to standing committees. Instead, it will refer to standing and ad hoc committees. Just to note, we did check with the required template from AKC, and this article does refer to committees in general. So this will be an allowable change. Discipline. Oh, okay. The deposit for the person who is preferring charges. We did look at, or actually I did. I looked at other clubs and what their deposit amount is for preferring charges. We have amounts that are all over the place. Some are as low as 10, some are 50. The Samoyed Club of America was on the higher end at 250. We were not too far below them at 200. I wanted to go with 50. Paul recommended 100. And that's what we have here as the recommended change for this part. 200 just seemed a little too high. And what are you all thinking about this change here. Should we leave it at 200? Should we reduce the amount?
This is Pam.
I think it's
I'm
fine at 100.
a good compromise.
Okay. Okay, the amendments, Article 7 amendments. This does affect a future attempt to amend bylaws. The amendment procedure, we did add here that in the future won't be effective for this version. As permitted in the law in the state of incorporation. We had that part. And we also added must be returned to the service provider. So this is an attempt to address the idea of contracting with an electronic voting system such as Simply Voting, or the other one that I used for the judges selection, or it could be a mail-in ballot service provider. So it's not getting down into the specifics of how the vote would be conducted, but it is allowing for how we're doing it. I also removed the provisions of the dual envelope procedure. So that is deleted from this section, so that we have an allowance for what to do in the future. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Almost over. Article 8, dissolution. No changes there. Article 9, procedures on how we conduct business. No changes there. Parliamentary authority, Robert's rules, and then we're done. That's it.
Hey, Kevin, didn't we also, I mean, I remember I thought we clarified that the term board members are elected for a term of 2 years.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. I thought.
Yeah, we inserted that somewhere, I thought.
I thought I read it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we are, 2 year term. There it is. Yeah. The officers and directors shall be elected to a 2-year term. Yeah, as provided in Article 4. Yeah, that actually is an insert.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, yeah, because it was that they'd be elected as provided, and we made it a 2-year term, just for clarity. Y'all, that was I know that was the intent in 2013, because there was reference to that in the board minutes, and they even talked about how the new board going in October were served for 2 years, but it wasn't. There was nothing that said that's what the length of the term was, so, in the bylaws itself. So we got it. Just wanted to put that in to make sure. Okay. Yeah, and only one membership of a household that can serve. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So where do we stand on this as far as getting it ready for sending to AKC?
I move that we send this copy as amended after the excellent work by the 3 committee members to AKC for their approval prior to sending it to the membership.
We need a second.
I'll second.
It
That was
Karen.
Karen Mancini. Okay, any further discussion on what needs to be done before we do it? Does it need to be approved by the board before we send it in, or we just send it in?
That's what I just moved, that we approve it and send it.
Okay, is it 100%? We were talking earlier and Doug said,
You have to take a
hold on,
vote,
hold on.
Cameron.
I'm sorry, what?
You need to take a vote.
Correct.
We work under Robert's rules. You need to take a vote.
I called
So
the
we had a
question.
motion. And
We have to vote.
there you go. You called the question. There you go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed? That was Paul. Any abstentions? We have one opposed, full board. Everybody else approved. Motion would carry. Okay. So that's where we are. Yeah, that was a lot of work, guys. Thanks for your hard work, for sure. Am I still on? Did I lose you?
You're here.
Yep, you're on.
Ah, okay. All right, where are we now? Where are we now? Because we just did the bylaws, and I think we skipped a bunch of stuff up above that, did we not?
Judges
Pending rules,
education.
progress. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Judges' education is next.
Judges education. Okay, let me go up there.
According to your thing, what's on,
According to the agenda.
according
I'm
to
looking
your
at the
agenda, you
agenda.
said status of future presentations in progress, the laminated cards.
Status of future president. Yes, okay, that's the one I'm looking at too. So, judges education, Jackie is still out at this point. I've been in contact with Jackie. She will let us know when she feels that she's able to take back over her position and to continue. So at this point, we had a presentation that Pam did for us in South Carolina. You want to give us a quick update on that, Pam?
Yeah, it was well represented. There were somewhere between 12 and 14 people who attended, including Maribeth O'Neill. And it was well represented. We had excellent help. Janet Ron and her two granddaughters brought us dogs. I had 6 Affens available, including a couple of puppies. We had excellent feedback. I think it went very, very well. I used the new presentation.
Right. Okay, the status of future presentations in progress. There's no other presentation scheduled for 2023. The next presentations right now, we have been asked by the Arizona Lost Dutchman Club to present Affen pinchers there. And we've agreed to do that. And that is not costing us anything for the club. That'll be presented by both Pam and myself. And then the next presentation will be the Nationals on April, in April. It'll be before the 14th. I believe it's on, Pam, is it a Thursday? Do you remember?
It's scheduled for Thursday. So we would have regular judges education. Friday, we'd have the regular and concurrent. Saturday, we'd have a supported entry, and Sunday we would have the national. So
that's
that's
the only
good
two that
work.
I have a
That's the only
question
two
as,
that are. Go ahead.
I just had a question as to the judges' education scheduling. Was that because they have got their own judges ed particularly going on and that's the date they want us all doing it? Or are we doing it because we have a concurrent on Friday and the specialty on Sunday and we want them to get extra experience?
Sheila, I was contacted through Sally and the lady who's coordinating all of this, and they had scheduled it for that day. And because of what was going on the rest of the time, we felt that Thursday was the best way to do judges education. That's the judges education that their organization does. That does not mean we cannot have another education for breeders and owners or whatever, or additional judges education. But this was the official one. They wanted education for all the specialties, and they have a schedule. And I agreed to do that on that date because we have so much other things going on. We thought that we wanted to get it in on Thursday.
I have
That
no
does-
problem with that. I just wanted to make sure that we were going to pull in enough people because we are so far ahead of our actual specialty versus the concurrent. You know, I just wanted to make sure the schedule is still flexible for that sort of thing. So we could just plug that in as a permanent. That's not a problem for me. I just wanted to question it.
That's where it
Right.
came from, because she needed it to put her schedule together for all the specialties, for all the judges' education, for each and every one of them.
That's great.
Right.
That's fine.
And that's why
And-
we agreed to do it that way, to cooperate with the overall organization of the cluster.
Totally agree. We want to do that. And the other question I have for you is that time on our potential schedule was listed 9 to 12, and that is a correct time?
That is the time, and my understanding is that will not conflict with the actual judging of often pinchers, which then means we would be after lunch.
Yeah, we would. Okay, great. Thank
Right.
you. I'll just leave that on there then. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. Laminated cards for JE final size. The lamination is a 6x9. We didn't have that before, but I've got that now. It's 6x9, and the printed material can be as on a piece of paper as large as 5.5 by 8.5, and that works there. I don't have in my notes who was supposed to be looking that up for a price or getting quotes. Does anybody remember? Was it me?
I thought
think it was.
Cameron.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, it was you.
Yeah.
It might have been. Okay. Well, guess what? I have the sizes. I don't have the prices. So I'll continue to work on that. It was brought up by Paul, I believe Paul did, brought up to put on the agenda expenses for judges' education travel. And we discussed this briefly at the last meeting. And I did a bunch of research with other clubs around the country on what they spend on judges' education, and it's all over the board, from $0 to very little dollars to literally like $100. They don't. There's not many. There's not many clubs at all that pay much for their judges' education. So I know that when it was brought up and we were discussing it, it was brought up that not only the JE should have their expenses paid, but also their assistants. That's quite a bit of money, and I don't know that we can afford to do that. And it hasn't been done in the past. Expenses for judges' education, as we have it now, is $500 per year. That's
we upped
why I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought we upped that, didn't we? Or
No.
did we?
No, we did not.
Oh, we did not? Okay. I dreamed it.
So that's why I've been very diligent in trying to try to put these things on with very little money. So this year we had a $500 budget, and out of $500, we ended up spending $200 out of that budget. So far for next year, we have $500 budget, and we have $0 being spent.
Cameron, I know that in the past, out of that judge's education budget, we also had to do printing and things like that. And the majority of the expenses were related to that, not related to compensation for the judge's education chair.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Mhm.
there was, a limited amount, but I would say that $500 is more than generous. I would say that the 150 for the year is plenty. As a previous AEC and having talked to a lot of us, we usually do not get reimbursed for that, nor do we expect. It's kind of like giving back to the sport.
Okay, now,
So-
when we talked about this last meeting, and I've got this in front of me now, for instance, this is 23, we have, the only toys would have been in Louisville, and Jackie did that. The next toys is in Phoenix, we've got that covered. The only other toys coming up would be at Orlando in December of 24. 25, we have no toys presentations. 26, we have Houston. 27, we have Portland, Oregon, and Louisville. And in 28, we have Orlando. So what we discussed is that we would be supporting these institutes, and that's what I'm looking at here is the institutes. Phoenix is not an institute, it's only 2 points, but the rest of them are institutes, giving the judges 3 points, and those classes are full. And they range from, I'd say 25 to 30 people per class.
I think
So I'm
rather
just bringing
than,
that back up.
I think, Cameron,
That's
I
what-
think rather than looking at, I think this relates also to the Meet the Breeds thing. Rather than looking at the JEC being compensated, I think we need to look at how do we get animals and handlers, exhibitors there. That's the important part. And I think whoever's JEC may want to have a little bit of leeway for that, but not for their personal expenses. And I don't think we need to put a big amount on it at this point in time. I don't think we even need to decide it, because at this point we're covered through 24.
So just leave it at $500. I mean, are you asking us, is the concern, do we leave $500 as the budget amount?
I think that's more than generous.
Yeah, just leave
that's
it.
Fine, just leave it where it is.
Yeah, just leave it and let it go.
Yep, that's my,
Now, my question is, where does the where does the expense for the laminated cards come from? Does that come out of Judge's Ed?
that comes out of judges' education.
Okay, so that will depend on how much how many cards are you gonna have printed?
Oh,
I
probably
guess
a
it
million.
depends on how much they cost.
Depends on
Yeah,
what they cost.
Okay,
I
to
think
be
just-
to be determined.
Just like our illustrated standards that we do, I believe we only do like 250 at a time is the break that we get on that. Of course, it's going to depend on what these cost, which will be a whole lot less than the illustrated standards. But then again, lamination, I don't know what that's costing these days. I've always done my own, but I don't want to sit here and do a couple hundred of them. So we'll get the price on that, and we'll see, where we can get it the cheapest and what we can do. There's a lot of printing companies out there.
Yes.
Well, and
there
we've
are.
got $300 in the budget.
For this year,
Yeah, well, that's all we're dealing with right now.
right?
So
Okay,
moving along.
all right.
All right.
Moving along. Okay, legislative liaison. We should have gotten a report. Did we get a report from Kelly?
No, I actually got in touch with her because we've never gotten a report from her since I convinced her to take over.
Yeah.
She's not a member, I'm sorry, she is a member, but we have never gotten a membership application from her apparently. So I'm gonna get one to her. And she does not have access to the members area of our website, which clued me in. She's not really processed as a member yet. care of on that front. We did vote when we talked about making her our legislative liaison to approve her for an associate membership. So I'm going to direct her in that fashion and route her, I guess, to Donna with her application. And then
Right.
we'll get her
Or
set
we
up.
just give her a complimentary, can we just give her a complimentary?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was, complimentary. But
Yeah.
she's not been getting newsletters or anything, so she's kind of out of the loop. So I want to get her set up so that she will be in the loop.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Kevin,
right,
just go
Sunshine
online, go
Committee.
online to the complimentary associate thing and just fill one out for her
Okay.
and send it to me.
Well, I don't have all of her.
FYI, Joe's connection went down, so she's not.
I'm back on now, but I don't know how long it'll last. It's my my dish is
Oh.
going.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, where are we?
Report from newsletter editor Sherry. Did we get a report from Sherry? Do you, Kevin?
No report.
Okay. The report that I got personally, because I followed up with her on the website and what it's doing and where we're going with it and that kind of thing. The website has been changed, as you all know. Our other website is no longer supported. Sherry has said that she's asked for help many times as another person to help her with the website. And she says nobody's ever stepped up. So if you know of anybody who wants to help her with the website, we need somebody else with knowledge of how it works and that kind of thing. Because if something ever happens to Sherry, like she agrees, we might be in a world of hurt there.
I looked at the website and I went through and clicked on everything, and I thought it looked really good. If she's got problems on the back side of it, I can't see it on the front side.
Right. Okay. Well, get
She's looking
if
for
you guys will
somebody
all
else
go
to
through
be
the web.
involved. She's looking for
I didn't
somebody else
understand
to
that,
be involved. And
Yes,
to
she
help.
is. Yes, she is. So in any event, I'm going to ask every board member again to go to the website, to review the website, and send Sherry feedback. She wants feedback on what you see, what you would like to see, and she's going to be able to do, whatever she can. But apparently this website is going to afford us a whole lot more than what we've had in the past. Okay, so let's move on. Specialty liaisons. Sandra Luck, Sheila Wymore, and Joe.
No, it's no,
that's not right.
no, that's not right.
Oh,
It's
Sandra,
Sandra,
let's
Lex,
see, it's
Sheila, and Melanie and Kathy.
Melanie
You're
and
behind the
Kathy.
times.
Maybe I am.
Sheila and Melanie are co-chairing.
You did have Joe on your agenda, Cameron. I corrected it though.
It does not. It does not. It just says Sandra and Sheila.
And it should be
So
Sandra.
last year should be Sandra. Last year.
Sheila and
This
Melanie.
year,
Sheila and Melanie.
Sheila
And
and
then Kathy.
Melanie,
And then next
and
year,
then
Kathy.
Kathy. That's correct. Kathy Timko. My question is, and I don't think it's happened yet, have you three people, well, Sandra's not on the call, Kathy is not on the call probably. Sheila, have you guys been together to talk about how things are working or not, or probably not?
I don't know that we actually intended the liaison committee to do any directing of the specialties, simply to be as a resource if the current chair had a question.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the reports go, I submitted a report for what we've done so far since taking over for Sally. And that report is in those minutes that the temporary minutes that Kevin sent out that includes the reports of everybody. So there is a report in there. The only other thing I need to talk to you all about is, again, sorry, scheduling. When that original schedule was distributed, it had us doing supported the entire week. We're not doing that, obviously. I sent you a revised. We deleted supported entries on the first 2 days. We're doing concurrent and not a supported on Friday. We're doing a supported on Saturday and the annual specialty on Sunday. So what we want to do
Right.
is we're thinking about the ACE meet and greet, which was actually scheduled for Friday after the concurrent. That's going to be a busy day because we have the actual show going on, then we have our concurrent going on. And we thought that as a group, it would be smarter to move the meet and greet to Thursday, which is actually fairly light because you have judges ed in the morning, but you only have your regular class in the afternoon, more than likely, as Pam said. So that gives us a time for an ACA meet and greet. It was also
Yeah.
scheduled 6:30 to 10, and we're not doing that. 6:30 to 8:30 latest, depending on what the requirements are for the room that they make available for us to do that.
Mhm.
So if that's okay,
Right.
we'll firm that up as part of the schedule and get that on the newsletter and on the webpage.
Well, I think it's fine because there was some conflicts in there, and I understand that things have to change, and that's one of them. So we've made great progress, board members. Sheila has been right on top of it. We've been talking back and forth. We're having a little issue with the cluster chair and the website, but supposedly, Sheila, did you try that this afternoon? Did it work?
I did not get on this afternoon. No, I've been using
Okay.
Sally's access info and been able to get
Okay.
on. But I
Okay.
have not,
It still
have
doesn't
not checked.
give you full access, and they're supposed to get back with me again today. I was on the phone with them for a couple of hours, so I will bring you up to date as soon as I know.
Okay. The other
Yeah,
change
so
that
anyway.
the other change we eliminated was Sunday at the national specialty, the 4 to 6 month puppies. When the
Yes.
app went in to AKC, which the cluster committee requested that we get in immediately, the 4 to 6 month puppy app was not added to that. And we, as a group, decided that we were taking on an awful lot already. None of us really wanted to tackle a 4 to 6 month puppy. So if somebody on the board is insistent that we really need a 4 to 6 month puppy competition, you are welcome to take charge of that and we'll work with you.
Exactly. Yeah, is anybody screaming for a 4 to 6 month puppy competition?
With
Well,
our.
not now, they might at specialty, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of tuned out. Was that with the national?
National
Yes.
Sunday.
I don't know that it makes sense.
I know, that was my feeling exactly, considering the week that we're looking at.
The host club would probably have a 4 to 6 puppy. I'm assuming they would. They may not, but that would be the place for it, not with the specialty club, in my mind.
Okay, it's
They might,
special. Okay.
but one of the
Gotcha.
days.
Yeah, we're not
So
privy
my-
yet to what they're offering. So this would be under our auspices on Sunday since we're an independent. And the committee preferred to opt out of 4 to 6.
I
Okay,
think that's an
Yeah.
excellent idea to opt
I'm
out.
fine with that.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Okay, the only reason I was bringing up the special liaisons and what you guys are doing is, for instance, if we have a person that's coming in that, wants to help try put something on, but it's pretty green, and we know how much work this is, I want to make sure that they have a way to get a hold of somebody that can hold their hands. And the specialty liaison, the way that we have it set up right now, just doesn't seem to be working in my eye. But then again, the people that we have working it right now are people that are very knowledgeable and probably don't need that extra help.
I've not received ever a request for help from anybody. Once in a while, Kathy Timko would have a question. it just, Joe and I work together on, the Vallejo show, but basically.
Right.
Somebody who's looking to put on a show, you don't really get too many questions from them. I wouldn't think. They either think they're going to do it or they don't. Or if somebody approaches but says, we don't know, then you can always direct them to one of us.
Right. I guess that's what we're going to have to do. So anyway, just for me, I just wanted clarification. All right. Ways and Means is an open position. Anybody have any thoughts on that at this point again? Somebody to help with selling of the club items and fundraising and that kind of stuff at the shows.
I was talking to Sherry just a couple days ago, and she said that she's totally got capabilities of putting a store up on the website, but absolutely refuses to do anything, have anything to do with it other than posting. And that would be something else Ways and Means could take on a regular basis.
Right. And we can set that up to where the store is set up, and it's direct between the website and the store, and the money goes right to the treasury.
This is Pam. I have a couple of ideas of members that might be willing to do it and might be good at it. I don't want to put any names out there right now, but I will address it with them directly.
Okay, we can always ask. All right, budget committee, Sheila.
Well,
Let's see, wait, where am I? I'm in the wrong place. Never mind.
Okay.
Webmaster Sherry. Well, I gave you her report. Okay, specialty manual. Once again, the specialty manual needs some work. And I've talked to somebody who wants to work on it, but I don't want one person to have the sole responsibility of that manual. I would like to have at least two people working together. If anybody can think of somebody that'll work together on this specialty manual, I think that there's work that needs to be done, and we need to, get that going. The person that has contacted me actually was Kathy Timko, and I know that all the work she's done on it before with her own thing was quite, a bit. And if we can take that and pare it down to a manual that's easy read from front to back and all the dates and time frames and all that, that would be most ideal. So if we can find somebody to work with her, then we may open that up and let that happen. But at this point, nobody's working on it right now.
Kathy's lists are included in the current specialty manual that we have as far as timelines and so on and so forth. What we don't have in the specialty manual are sample addendums of AKC apps and a few other things that the premium list info that's pretty much standard procedure, stuff like that is not, those addendums are not included in the manual yet. I have them, I just haven't added it to them, sorry.
Right, okay.
But we do, and I also have her original list, so that is there and available for anybody who wants to dig in and revise what Azalea put together. Azalea had that list and some others. She had her original specialty manual, which was not much of anything. And she revised what we now have.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
maybe we should just get together when we have a downtime, which is never, and then try to work on that and get some more stuff uploaded.
Okay, so
Okay.
guys, let me, yeah, Sheila, I'd be interested in seeing it and opine, the guys, Kevin and Paul know that I did a lot of wordsmithing stuff. So, but I'm probably not going to have any time to get to it till after the first of the year. And I can see I'm next up on the agenda for standing rules, and yeah, I've gotten through almost all the materials and have a 300 items list of citations. But to pull that and distill it down And what we really need is more of almost like a policy and procedure manual that sits under the bylaws.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and is more, and even then, yeah, we're not down to the level of here's examples of every form and all that kind of stuff. So, but at least gets us a little more, flesh on the skeleton, as it were. So, that's my next thing to tackle now that I've got the bylaws stuff and some few other things gotten resolved. So,
Sure, I can
Yeah, well, I
very
personally-
happily send that to you.
yeah, sure, if you would, thanks. Yeah, I'd be
No
interested.
problem.
And then I can come back and I'll, I think I can work with Kathy.
Okay. Well, I think that's great. I think, if you don't mind, Doug, I will let her know that at whatever point
No,
can get to it, which may be the first-
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, you can, that's fine, yeah, but I'm I may be volunteering to help, I may be, and so, yeah, let me
Okay.
see how big we're talking about, yeah, okay.
All right, let's just wait on that, because you know what, it's not a priority at this very moment.
Oh.
And, everything that we have in place is fine, and everybody that's in a position that has to work with that kind of material, we all know, kind of what we're doing, or we ask the other one what to do. And so far we're fine with that. So we've got time.
Yeah, no,
We're coming up
that's the
on
whole
2
point.
hours, Cameron, we're coming up on 2 hours.
Uh-oh, I'm turning into a pumpkin.
Okay. I know. So standing rules, are you done, Doug? You're done. Sheila, Budget Committee. We can table that for the cost of shows and that kind of stuff that you were working on. You may not be done with that yet.
No, I'm definitely not. So yeah, we'll have to table that.
Okay, that's fine. Kevin, Awards Committee.
Yeah, Matt, Sharon, and we did go through and we looked at nominations that we received for the Lifetime Achievement Awards. We did receive a decent amount of nominations. Most of them were in consensus with each other. And our nominations for Confirmation Lifetime Achievement Award were Tamarin Kennels, Jackie and Terry Stacy. And prior to making that nomination, I did confirm that AKC would accept a couple award or group award, or not an award, but a nomination. And then for both performance and companion, our nominations were Sharon Rafferty. So we did forward those nominations to AKC. I did see an email today that AKC extended the deadline to September 30th. So what read into that what you will. So I'm feeling really confident about the nominations that we made, and I'm looking forward to seeing who they make the awards to.
Okay, very good.
Not in the report, but we will continue our work on the other awards that we've talked about previously.
Okay, Bylaw Committee, we've already done that. Election of new members. Donna, do you have anything?
No, we have none.
Okay, unfinished business. Morrison Essex, 2025. Do we or do we not want to do a supported entry? We have been asked by them to come and do a supported entry once again for the Affen Pinchers. What does the board think?
Yes.
Well, one yes. We're thinking.
I'm
We
kind of
had,
indifferent about it. I mean, it's a terrier show. And
It is.
I mean, I guess my question, like, I like Palm Springs as a supported entry because it gets a good entry. So like, a supported entry win should have some kind of prestige. So I'm wondering, does that show normally get a good Affen entry? I don't really know. But if they get an entry of like one special, then I would say probably no.
So that's
We had
I think we have.
a good entry
Go
when we
ahead.
came east this past time, when we supported them, we did have a good entry. However, my question is, who are you going to get to handle this? Because most of us on the board are pretty well wrapped up with other projects.
So I just
Yeah,
want to,
we are.
I want to say for last time that Morris and Essex happened, the supported entry was really nice, but then everybody left. Nobody stayed for the following shows. Now, some
I
things have
did.
changed. Some things have changed since the last time. It's not all scattered around like a big circuit anymore. Devon and Hatboro and Montgomery are all going to be at Macungie now. They're not in 5 different places. So after Morris and Essex, if folks want to stay, they would only have one other show site to go to. So it'd be Morris and Essex in New Jersey, and then migrate over to Macungie, which is near Allentown.
Okay.
That's the biggest
All right.
change, and I would hope that if there is a supported entry, people would stay this time, because last time after Morris and Essex, there was only one Afton Pincher that showed up.
Hmm.
All right. So the question being, so I have to ask for a motion. Doesn't mean I have to receive it, but do we have a motion to do Morris and Essex 2025?
I'd just like to interject at this point that the Scottsdale Dog Fanciers show is most likely moving to that weekend in 25. So no, I will not make that motion.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else? Going once, twice, 3 times?
Well,
That
wait,
is off the-
Cameron,
yeah.
Cameron.
What? Speak up. Speak up.
Well,
Come
no,
on.
if we decide, I mean, do we want to see if there's interest in membership for someone to do it and whatever? I mean, we make the decision, we're going to have supported entry, but is anybody really interested in coming? And who's going to run it?
I'll tell you, I'm not going.
Cameron,
I
let's
mean,
not,
personally,
let's
I'm
not
not-
rush it. Let's table this until
Okay,
next.
I would
Okay.
suggest we table it. I think there will be people that are there on Wednesday for Morris and Essex, like David and I, that will then leave and not be
Okay.
there for the rest of the weekend.
okay.
You know what we can do then? We can put this in the next newsletter and put it out there to the membership and see
Okay.
what they want to do.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
great.
voting procedures via mail electronically, we've already done that. Lifetime memberships, we've done that. Chick requirements, what's the status, Pam?
It's in place as of June
Okay,
here.
okay,
Has
so
the
you got it
membership
through,
been notified?
Pardon me?
you got it through OFA?
Yeah, it's through FA. We just have to notify the membership.
Okay. All right, that's what we need to do. So,
So I will notify Sherry so it goes in the newsletter.
all right, we need to get that out there because, yeah, that's what we needed was the stuff from OFA. Was there something from AKC we needed also or not?
Nope, we just tell them.
Yeah, OFA, okay. All right, good. Moving on, new business. Expenses incurred by the club president and the treasurer for attending the club's national specialty was brought up by Paul Dupay. Paul, do you want to say anything on that before we talk
Yeah,
about
I just kind of feel that if we have a requirement that the president and the treasurer attend our nationals, that it's kind of like it's expensive now to fly. Hotels are expensive. As long as they're not bringing dogs and we're requiring them to be there, I feel that we should pay their expenses. Unless we want to make that requirement.
It's not required, is it? Where is it written?
It's not.
It
in the
is not a
bylaw.
requirement, and I respectfully disagree with that. That's
I
part of
thought my
the
pen.
job.
Yeah, I'll tell you that Sheila and I both talked about this, because I'm the president and she's the treasurer. Obviously, it takes a whole lot of money to go. Yes, I never expected to be paid, for my expenses to going, and I don't know that Sheila did either. But even a small stipend would be nice, is what we're saying. But I don't think our expenses being paid is something that we would be looking for or demanding or anything like that.
I would say at this point in time, if you're going to pay the expenses, then they do not exhibit. And I think we'd rather have them exhibiting than we would. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? That, you know,
I just said that, assuming they don't have a dog.
I
Okay,
think,
anybody else have a
we're-
comment?
I think it's more important that we have a member of the board present at a national than a particular position present. And I don't know that we want to go through the process of creating a rule of establishing who goes and that they get paid a stipend.
agree.
Well, where is the
That
rule
would-
that they have to be there? What makes you
There
think,
isn't one.
Cameron, that you have to be there?
There isn't one.
That's what,
Cameron, I'm asking
yeah,
Cameron, Pam.
I was told that the president's position had to be in attendance, but I've never read it. That's just hearsay, so I don't know.
Sheila?
Well,
So I
we
went,
have an,
so I went.
we have an annual meeting and the president
Yeah.
normally would preside over the annual meeting.
Right.
So that's been tradition that the president is, one of the board
So-
members should be there.
All
Now,
right.
in the-
Whoa, so yeah, so just this, you're Paul, go read the bylaws. Current bylaws. There is nothing in the bylaws that says the president must attend the annual meeting. Nor is there any board motion in the last 30 years that says that, or yeah, almost 30, yeah, that the president must attend the annual meeting. I mean, you have to have one officer of elected officer has to be at the meeting. Now, you know, I would assume that the president in running for office would expect that they are planning to go to the annual meeting as the president, you know, and understand that, yeah, that the travel expenses is on their dime, right? I mean, I'll you know, now extraordinary expenses, I think comes back to would the board approve this in advance, or you have a decision about it, right? And you helped cover with whatever that is, but why would this be a matter of business for the club to, yeah, which expenses should be covered, which shouldn't, you know? It hasn't been in the past. I mean,
Well, this came up because Cameron had mentioned it to me and asked me to bring it up.
Ah,
So clearly he
now we
feels,
know.
Ah,
Yeah.
right, so,
Well,
yeah,
Good
so,
try, Cameron.
all right, I'll shut up. I mean, that's a, yeah, if it's a question of yeah, I mean, you get into, as with any organization that's nonprofit and volunteers, yeah, sometimes people, you know, do they have the financial resources to take on what they're want to go do? And there's, you know, maybe an expectation. That's a delicate way of saying things. I'm sure that's not, you know, I don't want to know.
All right.
So yeah.
So anyway,
Okay, good. I'm gonna leave it like it is, but yeah, that's how I was told, and there's nothing to support it, so just getting
you
that
would,
cleared up.
yeah,
Okay,
as Doug said, you would think that a president, if there was an annual meeting, that the president would assume they have to attend and would want to attend.
right.
Yeah, but.
Right,
you know,
and
sometimes they can't.
starting in 2025,
Four,
probably
5.
2025, they can attend remotely.
Yeah, there you go.
So out of curiosity,
go.
does the delegate get a stipend?
Yes. The delegate has a $500 a year budget, which she never reaches, mostly because she doesn't want to keep her receipts and turn them into me.
That's right.
But she's so close to where she has to travel to also, that helps.
It helps, and it's up to the delegate, you know, sometimes in the past, the delegates have charged and sometimes not. And she has run into some unusual situations through the years and since she was appointed and submitted some bills, but on the whole, she doesn't really bother with it. But there is, according to the quote unquote standing rules, we have voted $500 stipend to the delegate, just like we voted the $500 budget figure to Judge's Ed to be used however.
Right. It's well, let's be clear. It's not a stipend because a stipend is paid regardless. It's a budgeted, it's a budgeted amount that's available to cover expenses.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, and when you think about AKC, if the meetings are in New York City, I mean, you know, just to park for one day is probably $100 now.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, so you do. I mean, I think that's where the clearly for the delegate that's a real issue. But yeah,
So
No,
we're setting
I know.
precedent and in doing that. And the other thing is that I don't want the club to be a club that is turning into this elitist organization that only people who can afford to pay to travel to our national
Cool, right. Oh yeah.
every year could do that.
Yeah.
You know, so that when he mentioned this, I was thinking, well, I think it's only fair that, you know, there should be something.
So Paul, are you volunteering to become Ways and Means to raise the funds to cover this?
No, I'm not volunteering Ways and Means. No way.
No way.
All right. Do I have a motion
think-
to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
And somebody's thinking. Okay. Somebody said they think. We don't want to cut them off. What was that about?
Nothing. I was just wondering if I could get Kevin and Paul and Doug to hang in there for a few minutes after.
Sure.
Well, we're off the clock, but we'll try.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
All
Thank you,
opposed.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Okay.